If you want to scale to 7 figures, but you're stuck at a specific revenue number, let me tell you, you're not ready to scale at that number. And that has nothing to do with how hard you work, how many people you know, how much money can you deploy in your business, or your IQ or talent, or anything like that. And everything to do with a specific series of skills that nobody has ever told you about. Schools certainly don't teach this, that make all the difference in business. Every entrepreneur that you hero worship has developed their skills over many years and decades of conscientious training. Master these skills that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video, and your business building journey will be a much faster, enjoyable, profitable endeavor. If you don't know who I am, I'm Castillo, founder of Selfmastered, Peak Performance Institute for entrepreneurs. We systematize the art and science of peak performance to help you scale without procrastination, overwhelm, and burnout. And listen, I know where you are right now, where you might be, because I've been there, right? You work super hard, you have a very clear idea of what it is that you want to build. You're working every day, sitting at your desk, but then days goes by and don't even know what you did. You check email or maybe, YouTube real quick, and you end up binging a Netflix series for 3 hours. You have no idea what you got done that day or even the previous week. And eventually you start doubting your ability to even scale your business. You even start thinking that you may not be cut out to build the business you first started. Let me tell you, that is totally normal if you're lacking the performance skills that I'm going to be sharing with you in a minute. Learn these skills and everything will change. But now this begets the question, what are performance skills and which one do you need? So I want you to think of success in business and in sports, really in any endeavor, is all about 2 types of skills. You have technical skills and you have performance skills. Technical skills is what you do. Assuming you have an online business, that is marketing, sales, fulfillment. So let's say, marketing, funnel building, media buying, audience creation. On the sales side is prospecting, closing. On the product building is delivery, offer, coding if you have a software product. Those are technical skills, what you do. But that is not enough, because if you only have technical skills and you're lacking performance skills such as focus, discipline, strategic thinking, flow state, nervous system mastery, burnout proofing, stress management, emotional management, time management, energy management, your business building journey is going to be hell on earth. But on the other side, if you only have performance skills, if you're able to really manage yourself very well under uncertainty, but you have no idea what to do, you're not going to have a business. So you need to have technical skills, knowing what to do, but also performance skills, knowing how to consistently do it to the best of your ability without doubting yourself, self-sabotaging, or getting distracted. If you are extremely good at funnels, let's say, but your performance is 1 out of 10 on focus, guess what will happen? You're going to be bottlenecked by your ability to focus, right? It's just natural. Now, performance skills are very hard to teach, which is why most people never really talk about this. They talk about focus, productivity, like in a very broad terms, but they don't teach the specific skill of becoming a focused, disciplined, and consistent individual. I'm so passionate about this that I ended up, founding Selfmastered many years ago just to solve this problem for entrepreneurs like you. And after many years, I've boiled down the specific skills you need to really get to 10K, 100K, a million a month to this specific skills, right? And I've tested it across every level, so you can believe that this is exactly what you need, because the same performance problems that happen at 10K a month happen at a million a month, because we're all human, right? It's all about our psychology and neurology. The technical skills you need at a million a month mark are different from the ones that you need at 10K a month. But the performance skills, the ability to see reality clearly, to make effective choices, to believe in your ability to figure things out, those are universal, because performance is fractal. What matters at 10K a month matters at a million a month, which is why when you really master this, and this is what we teach our clients, you're really set for life. So what performance skills do you need, and why specifically these? Now, before I get into it, if you're seeing any value from the video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so we can keep creating more content that helps you really scale as you deserve. So There's 4 performance pillars that pertain to these performance skills, right? So the first one, which is something that most people think it is absolutely woo-woo, but it's far from being woo-woo, is what I personally call spiritual performance. When you dialed in your spiritual performance, you go from being in business to being on a mission, to having stronger why for doing what you do. And this really is the key, because as Nietzsche said, he who has a strong why can bear almost any how. Or in other words, he who cares the most about something generally ends up achieving it. And the core source of intrinsic motivation, of your ability to show up every day without getting distracted, sidetracked, or doubtful, is a matter of how much you care about your mission. And caring is a spiritual performance skill. To us at Selfmastered, we have identified 3 specific skills that we teach that make a difference. One is purpose and core values, so defining why you're doing what you're doing. What are the core values that can help you guide your thinking? 2 has to do with identity shifting. So once you know why you do and what you really stand for, what are the core values that you are really willing to defend and showcase in your day-to-day, who are you then based on that purpose and that core values? What is the image, the self-image that you have according to those? And finally, of course, intrinsic motivation. How do we link that to a specific thing in the present moment? How can we link the thing that is in front of you, maybe the hard task you're really not into doing, with the overall mission, right? So these 3 skills is what make you what I call spiritually fit. Spiritually fit entrepreneurs are those that are able to withstand almost all damage. They are able to persevere while others crumble. They have no doubt on their minds that they will eventually achieve the things that they've set out to do. Every single entrepreneur that has a strong story of their lives has this as a recurring theme, really believing so much in what they do that they will eventually figure it out. And this is all about the mission. Now, the mission can be super big or it can be small. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's yours, that you truly care about it. You may just want to make a fuck ton of money because you didn't have money when growing up, or because your family bankrupted and you want to help your family. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. The point is that you truly feel connected with that mission. You truly feel you're doing it for something other than the money or the fame or any extrinsic motivator. You truly care about buying your mom a house, or giving your father a new car, or making humans a multidisciplinary species. So that is the first subset of skills, spiritual performance skills. But this is not enough, right? Because once you have wind in the sails, as I call it, once you know where you're going, you need to stay in the game. And staying in the game requires mental performance skills, and specifically is 3 types of mental performance skills. One is what I call belief recreation. Beliefs are mental guardrails, right? It is a statements of truth about the world that you believe to be true. They don't necessarily need to be true, but they are true to you. These are actual perspective you take on reality that you wholeheartedly believe in, to the point that guide your cognition and your behavior. It is very hard to think yourself outside of a belief, and it's downright impossible to do something against what you believe is true. So having a very strong belief system that is adapted to the mission is absolutely crucial. Elon Musk example, you want to make humans a multidisciplinary species, but you intimately don't believe humans can survive in the galaxy. Do you think you will push as hard as he does to build that SpaceX, for instance? No, you wouldn't. You will not do it. Or imagine that you are wholeheartedly committed to achieving financial independence so you can have an impact in your family and your culture, society, whatever. But you have this belief that money is very hard to come by. How do you expect to achieve financial independence if your belief system is actually, curtailing your ability to go get money? Until you understand that money is abundant, you will not be able to have a chance of achieving financial independence, right? So belief system recreation, in other words, adapting your beliefs to the mission, is absolutely crucial. But it is not enough, because it also has a problem. If your belief is too stiff, if you're super stubborn on the path toward that vision, you will miss out on opportunities. And this leads me to skill number 2, which is psychological flexibility, which is a very wide term that psychologists use, basically to refer to the ability to adapt your thoughts based on the road, right? So when you're able to look at different perspectives to change your mindset about specific things that are happening to you in order to find the best solution. If something collides against your belief system and there's useful information in that collision, like let's say you had like a wrong proposition about reality, right? You thought things could not be A, but turns out they're A, right? What if the fact that they're A gives you a better chance of solving the problem that you're facing? Well, if you are psychologically flexible, you can incorporate that new information and create new thoughts and eventually new beliefs that expand your ability to see reality for what it is. In other words, you get closer to the truth, right? So that's skill number 2. Skill number 3 has to do with discipline and consistency. Discipline and consistency are mental performance problems, right? You're not undisciplined because of some weird reason. No, it's because your mind has been conditioned to be distractful and undisciplined. And knowing how to manage the emotions that drive a lack of discipline is crucial to become disciplined. So that's another mental performance skills. So spiritual performance, you got it. Mental performance, you got it. Now what? Well, you got physiological skills. Physiological skills are about being high energy. It's about being energetic. It's about being well rested and well recovered so you can make effective choices, so you do not fall for stress, so you never become burnout. And this is, in my view, about mastering what I call the big 5, which is sleep, exercise, nutrition, meditation, and breath work. If you master this 5, you will live an exponentially better life. Most people only focus on one side of the equation, like, sleep, which is arguably the most important thing, but they neglect their nutrition, or they neglect their exercise, or they neglect their meditation, or breath work, which is a very useful tool for achieving a state of calm and presence, right? If you master this 5, you will be highly energetic. Highly energetic founders work harder, make better decisions, are able to not fall for stress, do not burn out, and really drive superior results. Just like LeBron James spends $1 million a year in taking care of his body through specific active recovery protocols, you also need to take care of yourself. You don't need to spend $1 million a year, but you need to have a few active recovery protocols that you do every day or as often as you can in order to really prime yourself up for superior execution. And the skills here are basically stress management, burnout proofing, and active recovery. These are the 3 skills that we teach them that really drive all this difference and really make them crazy effective. And finally, executive performance, which is what most people will call productivity, but it goes way beyond productivity. Because if you are spiritually committed to a path, you're mentally strong, you are high energy, but then you fuck it up, you just do the wrong thing every time, guess what? You're gonna be exhausted at the end if you see no results of your efforts. What we teach here is basically 3 big subsets of skills. One is strategic thinking, which is how to find the highest leverage path towards your goal. What is the thing that you absolutely need to identify and then execute on in order to make a huge leap with your business? Because getting to the next level in your life, making really an elite jump, is not about doing a lot of things. It's about doing the thing that matters most. And finding that thing is a high value skill that is called strategic thinking. It's all about leverage, right? A lot of people create plans, right? And they know what they want to become, but they don't do it. Why? And this is one of the things that we teach our clients, is that you got to have a vision, right? A 10-year vision that is aligned with your identity, right? If your identity is, has nothing to do with the goal, you're not going to persevere. You're not going to really chase it. Anyone can really create long-term goals because, in fact, that is a highly pleasurable activity. It gives you a lot of dopamine, but you will only persevere if achieving that goal is actually a building block of your identity, right? So strategic thinking has to be done the right way, and it has nothing to do with SMART goals. It has to do with really getting out of your comfort zone. Because elite performers have infinite comfort zone. Nothing is off bounds because they're thinking so big that they eventually figure everything out. Then you got execution skills, which is time management, prioritization, planning. This is about moving as fast as you can, because as we teach them, time is elastic. An hour spent in flow, it seems like a minute, and an hour spent in an ice bath seems like a decade, right? So time really is elastic. And if you learn how to bend the time because you're so focused that you are able to do a lot of work in a very short amount of time, you will move so much faster towards your goal. And finally, the last step is flow states. Flow state is a non-ordinary state of consciousness in which you feel best and you perform the best. In order to get into a flow state, everything has to be aligned. You have to be intrinsically motivated to doing what you're doing. You need to be mentally strong to actually do it. You need to be high energy because it's very taxing on the brain, and you need to be working on the right things with the right specific flow triggers, right? So don't fall for the habit of thinking you just get into a flow state just because you want it. No, everything has to be aligned. Flow state is an emergence of you really performing at the highest level. But once you have everything, all ducks in a row, that's when you can unlock flow states, right? And this is the 4 core verticals of performance that you absolutely need to master if you really want to scale. Because if you cannot focus, you're not disciplined, you don't believe you can, your vision is not big enough, you don't intimately believe you deserve what you're working on, you will never achieve it. And that is a performance problem. It is not a technical problem. It doesn't mean you're not high IQ enough. It has nothing to do with your talent or the fact that you may not be cut out for business. You are not one funnel away, you are one transformation away. If you become an elite performer, if you become really the kind of person that can perform at your peak every single day with minor or no hiccups at all, you will eventually figure it out. And you and I both know that that is very well known, right? So I'm biased here because that's what I do for a living. I train folks like you in performance, but I believe this is the number one set of skills you should cultivate. As you know, we have our methodology. We're going to be putting the video right here about the blueprint, which is everything that I've learned about how to get it done. Check it out, it's free, and start making the necessary choices to really drive your performance up. And if you want our help, book a call with us, and whenever we open new slots, we'll be happy to wrap you up and transform you into an elite performer. But that's the idea of the video, right? It's not about working super hard, it's about really understanding what needs to be done and working hard on the highest levels thing with full focus, full clarity, full discipline. All of those are performance skills, not technical skills. And as I said, check this video about the blueprint that is going to give you everything you need to know about how to start this journey by yourself. Until next time.